We're finally now understanding something that we haven't understood in a long time. We never really got the full story of. Kyrie speaks. For the very first time in 6 years, he's ready to explain, and did explain, why the fuck did you ask out of Cleveland? Why did you demand a trade? We know you demanded it. We know you wanted to go to a contender. You said it was to be your own man, but at the time that didn't really make no sense because you were with Tatum and Brown. So you're not really. And now that we know, truthfully, he'd never wanted to leave LeBron. He just wanted to leave Cleveland. He's like, I didn't care about Braun. Me and Braun were good. I just didn't want to be in Cleveland anymore. This franchise sucks. They sat me down. He said on this I Am Athlete podcast, they sat me down. They told me what their plans were, how I fit into those plans. And me and Braun, truthfully, didn't really fit into their plans long term. Unless we were all willing to stay together, we didn't fit in to their long-term outlook. Basically shedding cash and starting afresh, basically Armageddoning the team. He's like, so yeah, I'm fucking out of here. But he didn't tell Braun. And Braun thought it was about him, of course, because Braun's sensitive. Let's be honest. He's sensitive. He's like, fuck, Kyrie. Come on, man. I thought you were my little bro, dude. I think Braun said that, too, publicly. I didn't just make that up. He's like, man, it's like my little brother. He didn't tell me he wanted to go. I wish I would have known. I could have maybe helped him. And this is now fascinating because Kyrie's in an interesting spot. It's a very interesting time for an interview, given that you're at the end of your contract and you have a player option and you maybe could go somewhere else. Opens up a whole new range of imagination possibilities here. He even said on the I Am Athlete podcast, I would probably be in LA right now if me and LeBron would have actually hashed this out and talked. Oh boy. So I want to play a clip, something even more of what he said that just made me go, I went, huh? What did he say? Let me just back that up and play that again. Is he saying what I think he's saying?
I was in the same maturity level I am now and understanding who I am, and I look back on that time then, we definitely would have won more championships together because there would have been a better man-to-man understanding about what I'm going through. I didn't know how to share my emotions. I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to do that. So instead of sharing, I isolated myself. And I just started pouring myself more into the game of basketball, and I had one of my better seasons, but I wasn't connecting with everybody as much during our championship year. So in 2017, it was a different year for us. Yeah. So when we went against Golden State, we went against a great team. When you're not a great team and you're not clicking on all cylinders and together, you're easily defeatable. You're defeated before you even get to the arena. Right. We were in those games against Golden State, but we definitely could have given them a run for their money, regardless if they had Kev.
You brought up...
Wow. We definitely would have won more championships together. Instead of sharing, I isolated myself and threw myself into my work, into the game, right? And Kyrie had one of his best statistical seasons. He grinded it out, but he just wasn't. You know how when you are so focused on work, you make no time for anyone else. You make no time to connect. You make no time to enjoy. That was basically Kyrie. Kyrie was in a spiral of himself. He was just reconnecting with his Native American ancestry. I think that's pretty true. He says that earlier on in the podcast. It's not even any shade. And he didn't really know his place in the world and how the game was a part of a larger picture that was unrelated to the game. This is all quotes from the podcast. You'll have to go back. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, or I'll get sued. But, so that's why they said Kyrie wasn't talking to anyone in that last year. It's because the man was apparently isolating himself away from the rest of the squad. They won it, and then the next year he was done. Notice, though, he didn't say him and Braun would have won more championships together in Cleveland. He probably would have just initiated some way of going to whatever place the LeBron would have gone, which is why he said, I'd probably be in LA right now. Wow. A lot of rumbling right now going on whether the Nets are going to sign him to a max contract. I mean, it was fascinating. The whole interview's fascinating. Go watch it. Also, fuck Pac-Man Jones. He sucks. Like, so, if you're not an NFL fan, like, you don't even know what I'm talking about. But this guy is awful on the field, off the field. Just a terrible, terrible person. Also just annoying. Anyway, interesting stuff. He's on that pod. Cannot wait. He's on that pod. That's not like a non sequitur. He's on the pod. It's Brandon. What's Brandon's last name again? Marshall. Yeah, Brandon Marshall. Shady McCoy. And Pac-Man Jones. What a ragtag crew for a podcast. Love it. Pac-Man Jones always talking over everyone else. The king of crosstalk fucking sucks. Like, also, like, it's Kyrie Irving's interview. You shut the fuck up, Pac-Man, about what Kyrie Irving was looking to do, okay? Anyway, that's a total side road. Listen to the pod. The Nets are in a quandary, and Kyrie is talking about how he wishes he would have won more championships with LeBron James by being more vulnerable. This feels pretty vulnerable to me. Lakers looking to trade pieces. LeBron saying he has more. Could be an interesting thing. Or Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant. It makes me wonder if there is a possibility that we could see Kyrie and Bron reunite. I would love to see it. And I think they would love to see it. The question is whether the franchises that are moving the pieces, whether La GM and La Kyrie can make that shit happen. I'm sure Bron remembers how good he was with Kyrie. I am sure Kyrie remembers how easy it was, besides LeBron telling him he needs to play all the games, like with LeBron. I strongly believe the Lakers would die to have Kyrie Irving on this team. And I suspect Sean Marks would also be happy to let him go, all things being said. A lot of baggage there, not sure they can come back from. And I don't even think they've spoken yet about his extension. But I am very, very excited to see whether these recent comments turn into something bigger than just an interview on a podcast.